Can I continue to push back?
Yeah,
I'm playing devil's advocate. This is the only place I can do this.
Go do it.
Because I agree with you completely. And I think everything that you have mentioned is the healthy way to approach your art and to separate it from your personality as a whole. But now I'm playing devil's advocate, right?
Nope,
So
do it.
to get to generational talent status, I feel the lines start blurring between your personality and your art in such a way that you have to get that obsession, that passion that needs to creep into your life. It needs to become you. And that becomes athletes, musicians, actors. You see it takes over their life completely.
Yes.
I want to give you another example. So we spoke about Charlie Parker in jazz. Michael Jackson is a very similar example as well. So he had a teacher's dad who was mentally, verbally abusive to him.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt in my mind that he ruined his life.
Yeah.
Completely.
Totally.
But the argument, I guess, that what Fletcher's making here is that if his dad had not done that, and we are all in agreement that he did ruin his life, Michael Jackson wouldn't have been Michael Jackson and had the impact on music and dance that he had, and the positive impact he had on millions of people. And this becomes like this trolley experiment, whether the life of one person is worth sacrificing for the happiness of millions of others, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know what the answer to that is, but one thing I can say for sure is that if Michael Jackson wasn't pushed that far and we would have not had his music and his dance, the loss of that music and dance would have been a huge tragedy.
I think though that if not through him, it would have found its way into the world in a different way. I don't know. I'm just not for anybody mistreating another being.
Yeah.
And so I know what you're saying. It's like, oh, but but it's something that, and I just always comes back to this romanticized view of like the tortured artist.
Yeah.
And
art comes from tragedy.
Yeah. And the suffering.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like there is another way. And I'm like, maybe it wouldn't have happened the same way if he had a different parental upbringing. I think that Michael Jackson's love for what he did was there no matter what, no matter who was telling him what to do. And if he had a different sort of upbringing, I think that maybe we would have gotten the same stuff. It might have come at a different time, might have had a different timeline. Because there's an immediacy with, I think that when people, they think that like, well, with the tough love stuff, there is like I need to get them to fix it now. So it's like, I'm just going to, by any means, if that means that I have to like berate them, throw some things at them so that they make that change right now. It's kind of like scaring people into getting better. And, and then you look at like Michael Jackson spent his whole life chasing after something, never feeling like he was, which you could argue like, well, it's the chase, like which made him keep on creating new things. But also then we see what his demise was. And it's like, is that really worth it for a being to feel like they are never enough? It's going back to that whole thing of, I don't think he ever felt at home in himself. And so, which made him seek that external validation and that chasing. Same with like Whitney Houston, a lot of these artists. So
Amy Winehouse.
Yeah. It's that, and there is just like such a sadness. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, is it really worth it to make a human feel like that?
Yeah, Kurt Cobain, another one.
Yeah. I mean, we could sit here all day and go back at Janis Joplin, like go back and forth. Oh yeah, that's it's because like I've actually gotten into arguments with people about this idea, but like, well, it made these artists never settle, and I was like, okay, there's a never settling in your art, but then when it starts to bleed into your personal being and feeling like that's where things get scary, because that's when you turn to addictions and so